Hey, welcome to our wedding. My name is Steven. I will be playing the part of the groom today. And through the process of planning, Janelle and I got talking and realized that probably 90% or more of you know Janelle in some way or another. And probably a quarter or less of you have actually ever met me or know much about me. So I'm going to try to answer all of your questions about the mystery groom. Stephen William Krist. I weigh somewhere between 145 and 155 pounds, depending on whether or not Christmas and or Thanksgiving have just happened. Blue, but not just like blue, but like the blue of Janelle's eyes. Do I get extra points for that? I went to North Central University from 2008 to 2012, and I graduated with a Bachelor's of Arts in Media Communications. Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. Boneless wings, burgers, pizza. So my technical title is I'm a film and media pastor at a church in Imlay City, Michigan. And I have the privilege of working with my family. My dad's the lead pastor, and we've been really blessed. If you've ever worked with family, you know how difficult that is. It is probably the most frustratingly rewarding thing possible, but it's what God has called us to, and so I'm really blessed and thankful. And I'm also the young adults pastor at our church, so post-high school, 18 to 30. And Janelle helps me lead that, since she's just phenomenal. And it's so awesome to be able to go back now and present to our young adults hey, this is your pastor's wife. And Janelle's just phenomenal at just pouring into young women's lives, especially, and just being there for them with what they're going through, and just being able to help them get through the seasons that God's calling them into. And she does it with such grace and such humility and such gentleness. And it's just, I love it. I love being able to do that with her. And I also have had the privilege over the last 5 years to write and produce 2 different feature films. So, and an interesting fact about that, the 6 months that I was writing the script for this film was realistically the 6 months where I was really starting to fall for Janelle. So if you watch, the character that my character in the movie falls in love with is it's Janelle. I didn't even realize I was doing it, but I was falling so hard for this girl. I just wrote her in. And another fun fact, Janelle, the actual Janelle, actually has a little cameo in the film where she gets pulled over by a cop. I remember going to Disneyland World, whatever the one in Florida is, as a small child, probably 4 or 5, and I remember my dad tricking me into riding the Tower of Terror. The floor just opens up and you just free fall, and knowing that my stomach was somewhere up here and that it was not, that it was supposed to be down here, and I remember wanting to reach out and grab my stomach and put it back in, and I've never been the same. I'm allergic to the cold, so extreme cold temperatures, my skin just starts breaking out in hives, and I start itching. I passed out one time coming out of a Great Lake, so that's always an embarrassing thing to tell people, because they're you're allergic to the cold? So me and Janelle were just taking some engagement pictures a while ago, and we were trying to do the whole jump up, heel click together thing, and apparently it's not something that I'm skilled enough to accomplish. The first time I ever remember seeing Janelle was the first few minutes of my first class of my freshman year of college. And I just remember looking at her from the back of the room just thinking, there's something really interesting about that girl. The professor started breaking us out into groups, calling us by letters to put us in groups for study groups for the rest of the semester. And I remember saying, God, put me in that girl's group. And the rest is history. And I remember sitting next to her, and she leans over and she points at my paper and just goes, "That's my birthday." And I went, "Happy birthday." It's nice to meet you, weirdo. Learn and thrift. Those 2 things are probably our biggest things that we just love to do together. It was a 5.5 hour process of taking her down through a walk down memory lane of over the last almost 7 years, some of our favorite memories together in Minneapolis. And at each stop there was people that she loves, some of her best friends and family. And honest to God, for 5.5 hours I had her completely convinced that it was just for her birthday, and we just whipped it up the night before, and she didn't really realize that it was a proposal. All the people were there, and they had a finish line, and we drove across it with a tandem bike. And then from there, I walked her out onto this dock at Lake Calhoun, where we sat on our very first date and talked. Got down on one knee, and Janae had the ring box that I made myself like a man. Went out in the woods and cut a tree down with my bare hands. I opened up the ring box, and she said yes. So I'm definitely a night owl, and Janelle is definitely a morning person. trying to figure out how that's gonna work. Okay, so this is the current plan. You got the mask, pillow over that, and that lets you breathe through here still. And then I'm just sort of envisioning just sort of one of these, like after she wakes up and, you know, does her thing, just sort of.
Hey, I know he's a little weird, but I hope you grow to love him as much as I do. Thanks so much for being at our wedding. We're excited you're here. Let's celebrate Philbeck Krist Wedding.
Krist Wedding
2015. Yay!